Welcome to Tavern Talk 716, coming to you from 60 feet down in the bunker. Here are the hosts, international best-selling author Keith White Jr. and Lawrence Duran Gomez.
You can't have that as wheat.
Oh, hey, how's it going? All right.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to Tavern Talk 716. You are here with us once again. I am international best-selling children's author Keith White Jr., joined as always with...
I am Lawrence Gomez, a.k.a. Duran, a.k.a. Salvatore Morocco, a.k.a. Sweet Coat Dude.
A.K. what?
Sweet Coat Dude.
Sweeko Dude?
Sweet Coat Dude.
Sweeko Dude.
You're a Sweet Coat Dude.
Well, I don't... You know, you were a Sweeko Dude.
I'm
You
a
said
Sweet
it.
Coat Dude.
You're a Sweet Coat Dude. Not Sweeko Dude.
I mean, if it becomes lingo, could be
All
Sweet
right.
Coat Dude. But
so Keith
for
White
the
Jr.
time being,
and Sweeko Dude are here. Cheers. Boom. It's opening show silence as we
So
do.
I believe you were saying you want us to start viewing some pro wrestling.
I do love viewing pro wrestling. In fact, yes, if anybody follows us on Twitter, at Tavern Talk 716. Also, I'm going to put it down here, our Twitter handles. Probably be a little...
I like to pull my van
It
away.
doesn't matter.
Even if it's not there, I'll do my best.
It
to
doesn't
avoid the
matter.
part.
If anybody's been following either of us on Twitter or the show's Twitter, I did mention that you should get caught up on Major League Wrestling. Because in this time we're currently in, there's a lot of free time, a lot of TV to watch, and if you like pro wrestling, there's been some really awful pro wrestling. No offense to the pro wrestlers, because it's not them.
Not offense to the actual major leagues.
Right? Yeah. So if you're watching, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, without the crowds, they're just not. It's just not the same. AEW's been doing a great job of camouflaging the lack of a crowd or adapting to not having a crowd. They've been doing a great job, but WWE just keeps throwing the same exact product out week after week. They've also been filling time with like old matches. Have you watched it?
I haven't.
They've been doing
off of the.
They've been doing like
cable
best
television.
of matches from like they showed like the WrestleMania main event from last year. The entire match. It's like what 35, 45 minutes, and they showed the entire match. So it took up a huge
For those
chunk
at
of
home
Raw.
that might not recall what that match was, what was that match?
That was the women's three-way match. The
Ah.
winner takes all.
Very good.
Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch, Charlotte match.
Yeah, very good match.
Which is a great
as long
match.
as they kept Ronda out.
Which
I don't think Ronda was bad, but she just isn't on
the same
as-
level. But which is fine. It was a great match. But if I want to watch that, I'll go on the network.
Sure.
And I'll put that on.
That makes sense
I
to
like
me.
when I'm watching new live current wrestling, I don't want to see old taped wrestling. I want to see the current stuff. So anyway, so there's a lot to watch, and I'm talking about live current wrestling. I'm about to talk about old wrestling. So I'm going flipping through the YouTube as you do, as we're here now, which you may have found us through flipping through the YouTube. Like
YouTube roulette, as you said.
YouTube roulette, which I don't think is a thing, but I talk about it every week. I don't think there's a thing, YouTube roulette, which would be awesome.
It would, yeah.
So now
hit the roulette button and it throws up a channel.
Anything. Like you just, I want a roulette. So you hit the YouTube roulette and it shows a little thing spinning. You got Tavern Talk 716. And it could even, if you really want to get into it, it could throw you into the middle of the show. Which would be cool. Like it'd be like, flipping the channels in the 80s when you click the dial and turn the channels.
Like, oh, sweet show, and then the credits roll.
Yeah, and to most of you watching on YouTube, a long time ago on television, it would not be a guide and a cable box. You would actually have to either go to the TV and click the knob to the different channels, or you would hit up on the remote. So if you were on channel 2, you wanted to watch channel 33, which used to be Nickelodeon when we were kids.
Yep.
You would have to hit the button that many times to get to channel 33. You would just be like click, 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 click.
That,
click,
and back in our day, if you didn't own something on VHS, you were forced to watch whatever the channel was streaming.
Yeah. Back whatever was on, that's what you watched.
Yeah.
In fact, I said I've been watching Pluto TV a lot recently. If you don't watch Pluto, it's kind of like cable, but on the internet and completely free. There's 150 channels. You watch whatever you want. There's a channel that just plays Cops 24 hours a day, which is awesome. I love Cops. You laughed, but Cops is great. So there's an American Gladiators channel.
Ooh.
There's an Unsolved
Now we're
Mysteries
talking.
channel.
Oh, Fleck.
Yeah, dude. So anyway, there's 3 anime channels that just play anime all day long. Mm-hmm. So I said to my oldest, who loves anime, he's always doing Dragon Ball shirts and stuff. Okay. And I said, I'm flipping through. He came down as I was flipping through the channels because I do that. You know, you can go out there, you can flip through the channels and see what's on sometimes. So I'm
you
flipping
get all
through.
Nostalgic, don't you?
Right. And there's like a sitcom channel. I was watching Roseanne on there the one day. Married with Children's on there. So I'm flipping through the channels and I stop on the anime channel and I'm like, Tyler, there's 3 anime channels in here. I know you love anime. And he was like, okay. I said, so I figured you might want to watch these. And he looks at it for a second. He's like, what's on? I said, Naruto, whatever that is.
Right.
And he goes, wait.
A more modern.
He goes, wait. It comes on and you watch it? And I'm like, yeah, like television. Like it comes on and you watch it. And he was like, I'm not watching what someone else told me to watch.
Kids these days.
And he walked away.
Right.
And he's just done with it. I didn't even get to tell him there's a whole on-demand section and everything. I didn't even get that far because he was just like, I'm not watching what they tell me to watch. What am I, a poor person? And he strutted off to eat his caviar.
Put in his monocle.
Yeah, he put his monocle on, his top hat, and he started eating caviar as he walked away. I was like, what the hell? So I went back to watching Cops.
Started his way towards his chariot.
Right, so then I watched an episode of Cops where a guy, there's a road and it turns, right? And the guy driving the car didn't turn, so he drove into a lake. So the cops arrive, and his car is in the lake. And they're like, what happened? And he's like, what do you mean? And they're like, your car is in the lake. He's like, whose car?
No, it's not.
And they're like, your car is in the lake right there. And he's just like, yeah, because I drove it there. I'm like, well, where were you going?
Where I wanted to park it. I
Where
wanted to go to the lake.
Where were you going? To my grandmother's house. Where were you coming from? My grandmother's house. Like, where do you live, sir? He's like, it's tattooed on my arm. And they lift up his sleeve and they're like, sir, that's just a dragon on your arm. And he's like, yeah, my grandmother's house. And this goes on for like 10 minutes.
Let me guess, this is Florida.
It was Florida or Texas. I don't remember. Might have
that
been,
makes sense.
Yeah. Anyway, so going way off topic here. Back to wrestling.
Yes, you were going to touch on
while I was on the YouTube, I came across Major League Wrestling, MLW. And they have a weekly show that goes on. And even their new episodes, they must have taped a while ago because there's still crowds. But they've got like 109 episodes on YouTube. And they do a weekly show. So I was like, oh, I'm going to watch the first episode. And if it's good, it gives me something to watch during the quarantine. You know, I can get caught up. I don't have to worry about Raw and SmackDown for a while. I watched the first episode. The first match on the first episode is Austin Aries versus ACH.
All right.
It was awesome. I'm like, this is the opening match. So that match was super, super good, obviously. And it's Austin Aries right after he left WWE. That's like right around when the show starts. When he was wearing those pants that look like newspaper clippings.
Yes.
When he was winning all the belts everywhere. So so it's right around that time.
He's doing his best Ultimo Dragon.
Yeah, with all the belts. Yeah, absolutely. The J Cup. The Austin Aries J Cup. So then there was a match, a middle match. There was 3 matches. It was only an hour long. The second match had 2 guys I never heard of. It was a squash match. This one dude was like 450 pounds, right? And he was undefeated. So he fights this little guy, beats him in like 5 seconds. And that's like, that must be his gimmick.
Mass Transit?
No, I don't believe so, because I don't think that. I think
he died.
Dead. Yeah,
I believe my apologies to Mass Transit fans and family.
I don't know that he had fans, but he's probably got family. So after that squash match, I'm like, well, you know, if your first match, your opener, is Austin Aries and ACH, it's got to get better from there.
Sure.
So the main event was Pentagon versus Phoenix.
Okay.
With the winner being the #1 contender to the MLW World Title,
which is held by
Shane Strickland.
Well, I know that name, but
if you saw him, you would know.
Okay.
He's real big on indies. I don't think he's done much like in the big companies, but he's real big on indies and he's awesome. So I didn't get into any more episodes, but if every episode is going to be that caliber, then we're going to have to talk about this show on the show here, because it's awesome. So if you're watching this and you're Major League Wrestling, you can sponsor this show.
And if you're watching this, you can tune in 3 weeks, because I will have finally watched the first episode.
Right, and I'll be way past that. I will have forgotten what happened in the first episode. So we'll have a nice little recap again where he'll tell me all the things I just told him. So that'll be great. So, but if you're Major League Wrestling and you want to sponsor the show, right down here, I'm going to put all of our information again. And I believe right above him will be the show's Twitter. So follow us, follow the show, send us messages, and then with that you can send us cash. and you can sponsor the show, and we'll put a little commercial or whatever you want in here. The wrestlers can come out into the bunker. They can climb down the wooden ladder. They can hop into the bunker with us. And I'll
Salvatore Morocco could come out of retirement. Who knows? We can get crazy.
Whoa! You heard it. You heard it here first. Salvatore Morocco is going to come out of retirement, and he's going to have a 3-way with Pentagon and Phoenix.
That's not... We'll talk about it.
He's going to have a handicap match against Pentagon, Phoenix, Austin Aries, and ACH. All against Salvatore Morocco and Tango Torres.
Who are my other 7 partners?
No. You two against them. Because you're coming out of retirement. This is your big return to the ring from retirement.
Who has Tango Torres' phone number?
No, nobody. He
Wait
doesn't
a
have a
second.
phone.
This
He's
sounding,
in a no-show.
This is sounding very one-sided.
I have a feeling that you are in constant contact with Tango Torres. It's just a feeling I
I
have.
see him in passing.
I'm thinking it's more than passing. Every time you pass a mirror.
I have no idea what you're talking about. But I do have an idea of what I want to talk about.
Whoa! Topic notebook. We did mention a couple weeks ago. You said we should have topics.
Yes.
I said we don't need topics. We then tried to have topics one week where we just bloop and they were gone.
Yeah,
and then
we
we
burned
talked.
right through 'em.
We burned through Easter. We burned through the Day of the Dingus. I thought Passover was when you want something but you decide not to take it.
Which you do to all my topics.
Yes. And then finally you said something along the lines of, I'm going to make sure we have topics. And I guess that's what this notebook is.
Indeed, I did say that exact thing. So every week leading up to the next show, I'm going to start jotting down some topics for us to discuss. But this week I have a special idea. You see, last week's show with the topics went so well that we're going to wing this one.
I love it because last week's show, we were at the Nerd Terminal in Cheektowaga, New York, and there weren't topics because we just interviewed Blackjack for half an hour.
Yes.
So the topics you're referring to were just Nerd Terminal. That was last week's topic, the Nerd Terminal.
Oh, well, last week's show went so well that I felt to counter that, no topics.
I love the way you think. No topics. Yes. All right. Speaking of the Nerd Terminal, we were there last week. We interviewed Jason, the owner of the Nerd Terminal, who may or may not have said Blackjack a moment ago. But what I meant to say was
Co-owner,
Jason.
but the silent partner.
Right.
The silent partner. The proprietor of the Nerd Terminal is, in fact, our good friend Jason. And you can contact the Nerd Terminal at nerdterminal@gmail, I believe it was.
I will double check it, but I'm going to put that down here so that you can contact them. And you can go back and watch that episode. You can learn all about the Nerd Terminal.
And then, as we were saying, that show where we did, in fact, interview Jason.
Black Jason. He was actually White Jason.
Well, you know what I'm saying. We interviewed Jason, the owner of Nerd Terminal, and it went so well that we have decided to have frequent correspondence live via satellite from the Nerd Terminal. And we're gonna go to our first segment.
Well, before we go there, don't you want to tell everybody who it is that we have there?
Oh, absolutely.
So at the Nerd Terminal, I don't know that he actually made it on the air last week, but we had brought to the Nerd Terminal, if you saw them on Facebook Live, Jason was on Facebook Live, and we brought our friend, Nickel T. Buffalo, with us to the Nerd Terminal. He is the mascot for BB&G Charity.
Fantastic guy.
Nickel T. Buffalo?
He is fantastic. Buffalo.
He is a boy. He is a boy buffalo. He has a sister named Penny.
It's neither here.
Nickel has a sister named Penny.
Okay.
So Nickel T. Buffalo, we brought him. You got it? Okay. So you can learn all about Nickel and Penny in my children's book, Nickel T. Buffalo Starts a Podcast, available wherever books are sold. 100% of the proceeds of that book go to BB&G Charities. I don't make a nickel on that book. I don't make a nickel on this show either. I'm not sure how I keep not making nickels on anything, but I sure don't. So anyway, Nickel T. Buffalo, we brought him to the Nerd Terminal, and we all had so much fun. Nickel especially had so much fun there. that he decided he wanted to hang out in the terminal. We tried to explain to him that it's not open, that the store's closed.
He can't just shop.
He did not grasp that concept one bit. We also told him that once we left, the doors are locked and he can't get out, which he also seemed to completely
dismissed.
Because he was far too busy looking at toys. He just completely was whoop, and off he went. So we are going to go live to the terminal with Nickel T. Buffalo. I think he's sleeping.
Wake up, Nickel! He's moving.
Ooh.
Eek. We told him.
Yeah. All right, we're going to come back to us now. Okay. So now we're back here. Poor Nickel. Well, you know, at least he's happy.
He's in a good place.
He's in a very good place. So either way, as the weeks go on, we're going to keep cutting back to Nickel via satellite. We'll keep bringing you whatever it is that he's doing there. Hopefully he knows where the bathroom is. Because if not, by the time we get back there, it's going to be
rough.
A mess. So actually, we'll be back at the terminal next week.
Yeah, we're going to go. Terminal. We had such a great time, as we've mentioned. I'm sounding like a broken record, but we really did have such a great time interviewing Jason that he's invited us back for more episodes directly from the Nerd Terminal.
Right. So next week we will be there again. We're going to. Maybe you'll have decided to have topics. Maybe we won't have topics. I prefer no topics. That's just me. We'll see what happens. But the terminal next week again, we're happy to see that. Maybe Nickel will actually leave with us when we leave next week.
One can only hope.
One can only hope. But either way, Nickel, we salute you, my friend. That one's not even open yet. Hey, Senior Bottle Topper in the house. Oh, yeah. That was quite the leg lock he got on that bottle top. I like that. That guy is good. That guy is good.
He knows he has one job.
He does have one job. So also, going back to wrestling, when I had mentioned to you on Twitter, if anybody had seen it, I mentioned that you should watch MLW.
Indeed.
And Championship Wrestling
took
interest in the tweet that they weren't even involved in. They just replied, and they recommended that
and we're all for this. We love the interaction.
Yeah. That's why I'm bringing it up, because any interaction from anybody out there, you want to send us a tweet, you want to recommend things for us, please do. Either do it below in the comments or do it on Twitter. Send us comments, send us ideas, things you want us to watch or talk about, whatever. Even if you want to tell us to just shut up and go away, please send us a message up here or down here, whatever you want to do. Either way, Championship Wrestling also sent us a message. They said they've got almost 100 episodes. I think they said, was it between 50 and 100 episodes they've got on YouTube, including podcasts and interviews and all kinds of. So they recommended we watch that. So going forward, I also would like us to start watching that and talking about it. Because I felt that was awesome that they got involved.
We could also even debut on our show in the future match that I had against a Championship Wrestling of Hollywood superstar, Daniel Joseph.
Really?
That, in fact, did happen.
And we can have that match on the show.
We can. Directly on the show.
I want to do that. I want to have that match on the show. As in, you are going to have the match here in the bunker?
No, pre-recorded.
We're going to bring the ring in here somehow, and I can film and commentate while you guys have a match 60 feet underground in a bunker during a quarantine.
Anything is possible.
Is that what you were saying?
No, I was referring to a previously recorded match that took place, and it also involved. It was a three-way match involving another Western New York superstar by the name of Cyclone Jones.
Ooh, Cyclone Jones. I know him as well.
So it was Salvatore Morocco versus Cyclone Jones versus Dan Joseph, and it was a very, very good match. Took place at Nickel City Wrestling. Nickel City Wrestling. Not to be confused with Nickel T Buffalo.
Nickel T Buffaloes, Nickel City Wrestling. I don't believe those things go together. So we may have to ask Nickel City Wrestling. I apologize to Nickel City Wrestling. We may have to ask them if we can use that footage.
I don't know. I feel like if you got all the parties involved,
Well, it's what you got to ask though. You
Yeah.
got to ask everybody.
Well,
so I'd love to have.
we'll play that one by
You know
ear.
what we'll do is in 2 or 3 weeks we'll plan for that. We're not going to do it next week because we're going to have to get a hold of everybody. So it's not going to be next week on the show. Maybe not the week after, but possibly the week after that. So you can keep an eye out for it. We'll keep giving you updates. But I would like to have that match on the show here, and then we can talk about a little bit before, we can talk about a little bit after it, because that does sound pretty interesting to me. And all the people out
that
there.
should be extra interesting for you considering the history between a few of those competitors. Dan Joseph being Tricky D.
Yes, from
And
Tricky
Salvatore Morocco
D.
being AKA Titan
Yeah, that's all inside stuff that people are not going to understand one bit.
of the LWL. Speaking of Major League Wrestling.
The LWL, an old wrestling league that we were all involved in many, many moons ago. That's how I met this guy, the old LWL wrestling league. We're not going to talk about any
That's
of
for
that.
another day.
That could be a whole series of shows in itself. So Tricky D, Titan, and Cyclone Jones in a 3-way match for Nickel T Buffalo's Nickel Championship City Wrestling.
That all sounds accurate.
None
to
of
me.
that I think is right. I don't think anything I said was right except I said Cyclone Jones. It was the only thing in there that I said that was right. The rest of that, completely wrong.
Yep. I bought it.
That's all that matters. As long as Mr. Gomez buys it, then we are in the clear.
Copacetic.
I got to this a couple weeks ago. I had my glass,
Yes.
and I had my Saber shirt on, and I remember
Oh,
you
now
said
you're
something.
matching.
So I decided this week I would bring the glass back, but I would wear the Bills. So football season's in full swing. So I thought I would.
Well, they are having the draft. So we're that far.
Right. See, that's the beginning. That's
Well, we don't know if the football season is going to be a full swing, but we are taking steps towards having a season. So.
Well, they may play a season. I actually read somewhere they may play a season with no fans. So we'll see. Maybe they'll do that. We'll see how it goes. They're not gonna sell a lot of hot dogs, though. That's for sure.
They're not going to sell a lot of tickets.
Or a lot of beers, even. At least not in the stadium. They'll sell a lot of beers for the people at home. They're not gonna sell a lot of beers in the stadium.
It all remains to be seen. I know that pro wrestling is barely working without an audience.
Oh man, pro wrestling it just needs an audience. 10 people. 10 people. You could pull 10 people from the office. WWE has a huge office. And there are people behind the scenes. And they're not all doing stuff at the same time. So if you were to take 10 or 15 people who are currently not busy, including talent, and you were to line the ring with those 10 or 15 people, they would make just enough noise that you'd almost forget
It'd be
there's no
something.
crowd.
It would be something.
You could.
Yeah.
I've been to wrestling shows, indie shows with 10 or 15
10 or
people.
15 people. I have as well.
And those people can be quite loud. And see, you've been on it on one end, and I've been on it on the other end.
Yes.
And those 10 or 15 people can be just the sound you need to get across what you're trying to do.
Oh yeah, I've wrestled for one person. You pick that one person in the crowd that's into it, and then you just feed off them the whole match.
Right.
I've literally taunted and just bantered with a single fan in the audience.
Right, and I didn't
that's
appreciate
all
that one
mattered.
bit.
That was you.
But no, really, if you put 10 or 15 people in the crowd and they cheer and plus they're all WWE employees, so you can tell them who to cheer for and who to root for.
or
And
where
then
it's
you just
going,
let them
absolutely.
watch the match and respond to the match itself organically, naturally. But you tell them beforehand, make sure you're cheering this guy, make sure you're booing this guy when he comes out, so you're giving the audience at home the right impression of who's the good guys and who are the bad guys. But it would just immensely help the product, because there are points where, like you saw WrestleMania, you haven't been watching it since, but you watched WrestleMania.
Yes.
Like, there were points where you'd be watching a match and the announcers would stop talking, as they normally would,
And then there wouldn't be any
and
action.
there would literally be zero sound. Like, there were times where it was like, I had to be like, I'm grabbing the remote. Like, it was just dead silence. Like, and it was cool, like, when they would kick or punch each other and you hear them, like, yelling at each other and stuff. And you'd be like, take this! Hi-ya! Boom! And stuff, that was cool.
They did put up the antics to another level.
Which was awesome. But if you did that with 10 or 15 people in a crowd, that might be the perfect storm. That might be, like, the evolution of the product right there. Instead, we got WWE putting on the exact same product they used to put on, but with no people in the crowd.
Yes, unfortunately, I feel like I'm peeking into the future, and I just feel us having the same discussion on football. Like, just put in a digital crowd.
I can see the NFL doing that. I can see the NFL pumping sounds into the crowd of cheering and booing, or digitally putting a crowd, and I can see them doing that. The NFL, I can see doing that because they love money. So they know. Like, they're just like, oh, money, 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 money. Put a crowd in. Put some crowd noise. Money, 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 money. Plus, with the football crowd, though, it's not like...
And I feel like they could, because they put in those digital helmets on top of the field, and it looks like the helmets are right there.
Yeah. Well, even WWE does that. When they're doing the entrances, and they'll have, like, the augmented reality things floating in the air and stuff, you could put a crowd in with that. You could very easily put a crowd in.
Especially if they did, like, old school Sega Royal Rumble crowd.
Oh my god, I would kill for like a Nintendo 64 like crowd with the one guy who's just like with the sign, he goes,
and it's the other person like,
yeah. And it's just like, and then there's like 40 of the same guy all over the place. That would kill for that crowd. That would be awesome. All pixely, and they got like signs that say like Taz 13. Oh, man. Now you got me all excited for something that's never going to happen. Thanks a lot, jerk. Well,
if we see that in the next couple of weeks, just remember where it came from.
Right here. Tavern Talk 716. You tell us
sponsors,
or you tell us in the comments below, or you tell us on the Twitter right here. I got a lot of work. I keep pointing at things that are going to be on the screen. I got a lot of work to do.
Have you kept up with that? You know, I haven't watched a single show.
You don't watch this show. Just wait until you watch it. We're gonna be like 10 episodes in.
I'm gonna hate this guy.
We're gonna be like 10 episodes in. You're gonna decide to catch up, and then the next 10 episodes are gonna be just me sitting here, or me up top.
It's probably best I don't watch.
It's gonna be a half an hour of me trying to open the thing up at the top of the bunker, and you have a padlock out there, and I'm like, I'm sorry. I called you the dingus.
In like 4 weeks, I'm gonna watch, and every once in a while there's like thought bubbles that pop up, and I'm like thinking about like grocery lists or going to the bathroom.
Or muscly men.
Ooh, oil up.
Stupid sexy Flanders. Now you just gave me more ideas.
Well, I feel like I do that more often than I get credit for.
I'll give you all the credit in the world. You come up with really dumb ideas all the time. And I would say at that point, we pretty much rambled for almost a half an hour here. So I would say we're almost at a conclusion to the show, Tavern Talk 716. Is there anything you want to say before we go?
I do not. I feel like this would be a good time where I would come prepared, but this isn't that week, so we're just going to go.
I said, is there anything you want to say? And you said, I do not. Wouldn't it be more like, no, there's not?
I do not have anything to say. I thought that was understood.
No.
My apologies for
You got to learn to speak
this
English.
Individual and people
You'll
like
be the new Ron. You don't know how to speak English.
I speak this language just fine.
Me am good at English. All right, either way, I am international best-selling children's author Keith White Jr., and with me is...
just Lawrence Gomez.
Just Lawrence Gomez. This has been Tavern Talk 716, and we'll see you down the road or in the bunker.
Cheers.
Cheers.